Yes, anybody got any question? I'm sorry. In this class, I'm not looking at the screen because I'm looking at the people in the classroom.
Sir, I want to know the quality of spirit.
Louder, please. Louder.
The quality of spirit that A, B, C people are born with. So it's all different qualities.
No, my dear, the spirit has got no qualities. It is guna atisa. The spirit is transcendent. It has got no qualities. Qualities belong to matter. Quality belongs to matter, to something that has got shape and form. Who's speaking?
Monisha.
Huh?
Monisha.
Monisha is speaking from there, Acharya. I'm sorry. Okay, no, Monisha, my dear. The chair has got, what is it? The chair has got qualities. Your face has got quality. Your hair has got quality. Your eyelids have got quality. Spirit is no quality. It's only that which makes you aware of different qualities, of different things that you perceive or think. Matter has got qualities. Spirit does not belong to the realm of matter by definition. Outside of this world is a mystery called divinity, no? So divinity has got no qualities.
So everyone born has the same spirit.
Yes.
It's all the same.
Yes. In the transcendent, there is a singularity, one. Because you missed out that you created the mind and now you're seeing a world. So in this world, there is infinite varieties of names and forms. Infinite.
Yes.
Whatever is the conscious elements of those names and forms is the consciousness in you empowering. Consciousness in you, spirit in you has got no quality. It's eternal and immortal and all pervading. Yeah, anybody else got a question? See, unless you ask, you will. Monica has been here for how long? How many years, my dear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Never mind, 10 plus, no?
Yes, sir.
10 plus years. See, first time she asked, so it's confusing. It appears self-evident, it is not. Her sister took 2 or 3 trials before she got the answer. Because you are not asking the question. You should ask the question. Is worth a temporary embarrassment? There is no embarrassment. The people who, it's a humbling thing that somebody wants to know. There is no embarrassment. You must ask. Otherwise you get confused. Okay. Have you read this thing out, May? Huh? Your life revolves around these three states of consciousness. Earlier he said that at any given time we are either waker as we are now. When we go to sleep, we will be dreamer. Once you become a dreamer, the dreamer ignores the fact, does not know the fact that you are the waker. When I dream, my dream personality discounts me as Adi, doesn't know that there is any Adi existing. It just simply says it's not there. And then in deep sleep, you only assert nothingness. So your life revolves around these 3 states of consciousness. When you assume the personalities of the waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper. The waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper do not know you. Do not know you means the real self in you. That is the real you. They don't know. All are states of your conditioned consciousness. The pure consciousness in you, conditioned by your waking thoughts, makes you the waker, makes you assert you are the waker. Just like pure consciousness in you, conditioned by your dream thoughts, makes the dreamer assert that he is the dreamer. And conditioned by no thought, makes the observer of deep sleep assert that there is nothing. Each in his opinion loud and strong. They have lost their original state of pure consciousness. They have lost you. That means you have lost your identity with your own self. That's what it means. Monica, in groups, you are the spirit. You lost, you are suffering from amnesia, forgetfulness of your original nature. You have become totally complacent, have become totally complacent in their own enclaves, each swearing by his own state. The waker believes entirely in his existence and his work and his waking world he lives in. He rejects the other two states of dream and deep sleep. So do the dreamer So does the dreamer swear by his own state. The dreamer also believes in himself alone and his dream world that he lives in. He rejects the other two states. As does the deep sleeper is concerned, as far as the deep sleeper is concerned, he is steeped in a gulf of ignorance. He knows nothing, believes in nothing, experiences nothing. However, the waker alone has an edge over the dreamer and the deep sleeper. That's why we study this. The dreamer and the deep sleeper cannot conceive, much less investigate you, the origin of the three states. Only the waker is privileged with a subtle intellect, which you have, to conceive beyond his conditioned state of waking, to investigate you. So because of our subtle intellect, we are able to project outside of our limitation, and we intuit that there is some divinity somewhere that is managing and controlling our lives. We are able to relate to that. Otherwise, you won't go to temple. Why are you going to temple? Why are you going to temple? Sir, why do you go to temple? Sir, why do you go to temple? If at all you go, yes. It's a very simple thing to pray, no? So when you go to pray, some solace you get, no? The solace you get is because in your mind you're connecting with God. The temple is symbol of God, no? You understand? Shanti, huh? So you're connecting with Him. So that which makes you, or you can't see Him, but you feel connected with Him. That which makes you feel connected with God is your subtle. That's what He's saying. It's a gift that we are endowed with, which we should utilize correctly. The dreamer and the deep sleeper cannot conceive, much less investigate the origin of these states. Only the waker is privileged with a subtle intellect to conceive beyond his conditioned state of waking, investigate you. Thus, in the waking state, the waker can aspire to shed his conditioning and reach that unconditioned state. You can relate to that and then generate the desire to merge with that eternity. Senior citizen, so am I. I am also senior citizen. You are also senior citizen. Abhi, we don't know what. Anytime, anytime. I'm 18 incidentally. Don't worry. I don't look 80, but I'm 80. So my time, your time are approximately same. It will come. When you come, what is your hope? Ultimately, death will come. What is your hope? Upar wala to laleka. Hope is that now I go to God. Ji? You want to go to God. So, all of us are programmed at some point of time with a desire to merge with divinity. आप समझ गया? But it's not going to happen. Sorry. Because we still maintain desire bank in us. So as long as that desire bank is intact, the cycle of birth and death will continue. But at any given time, you and I and all of us, we want moksha, liberation from limitation of this desire bank. So it's a natural urge in us. Now he's saying that the waker can aspire to shed his conditioning and reach that unconditioned state. So you have to shed your desires. That is the conditioning. You have to shed your mind of its urges. When your mind dissolves itself through correct sadhana, then you merge with the self. Attain self-realization. However, human need to be spiritually evolved to raise the question as to who he is. So we are not spiritually evolved. India is a devotional country, but its level of devotion is at a very low end. But the quality of devotion is very high. But depth of devotion is very shallow. That's the problem. The waker, dreamer, or deep sleeper seem to swear by each of the three states while assuming that state. Then, which of them is really you? There is a parable in the scripture which throws light on this realm of ignorance which every human being ought to investigate. We should investigate this realm of ignorance. What is the significance of the dream and deep sleep? It's a realm of ignorance. We are ignorant of the fact that the self is with us 24/7, but we are looking somewhere else when it is actually that which enables me to speak is God. That which enabling you to hear now is God. It's there with you now, but you can't see it. You don't recognize. King Janaka was an evolved person. One night he dreamt a horrible dream. He dreamt he was a beggar in the streets, suffering from penury and starvation. He shot out of his bed. Even as he woke up to be king in the luxury of his palace, he could not shake away that vivid experience that he was a beggar. He wondered how he could have been beggar a while ago and now the king. It's a 10-minute separation. He went to sleep, beggar. Woke up, he looked at the clock, it's only 10 minutes have passed, he's king. So what is he? Is a beggar, is he king? How can it be the same thing 10 minutes apart? Two opposite. Janaka summoned his ministers and posed the famous question ever asked by a human being. Am I the king who imagined that I was a beggar? Or am I the beggar now imagining myself to be the king? Who am I? Can't be both. I have to be one or the other. I can't be both. Who am I? You're asking. There's something covering this man. The ministers were totally perplexed and could not answer the king. They lacked the spiritual acumen even to appreciate the magnitude of this question. This is where we are. The question comes, go to sleep. We don't have the acumen to appreciate the acumen or the merit of this question. It either puts you to sleep or you explore. Time passed, but the king would not be appeased. The indefatigable question persisted in his mind until a spiritually awakened sage, Ashtavakra, was brought in to answer the king. To the king, that enlightened master, to that enlightened master, the king posed the same question as though the dream had just passed. Am I the king? Who imagine myself to be a beggar, or am I the beggar now, imagining myself to be a king? The sage replied with his resounding words of wisdom. You are neither. You are not the king. You are not the beggar. Confusion more confounded. Self-evident, am I this or that? You say you are neither this nor that. You are neither this nor that. You are neither Monisha nor Sarisha. Monisha. But neither this, because when you go to sleep, you're Sarisha. You're neither Sarisha nor you're Monisha. You are the self. You are the self. That's your eternal, immortal personality. Now you are imagining to be a king. A while ago, you imagined to be the beggar. Having lost your real state, you are assuming the position of the waker in the waking state, and the dreamer in the dream state, and the deep sleeper in the deep sleep state. The waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper are your conditioned states. What is the meaning of conditioned state?
Conditioned by the thoughts in your mind.
Correct. Haji, Goraji.
Your power consciousness is conditioned by your desires or wants.
Correct. So the way to understand is that when you are sad, you are conditioned by your sadness, is it not? Goraji, when you are sad, the sadness conditions your normalcy. Because understand what is conditioning, otherwise you keep talking. When you are happy, the happiness gives a pleasant tint to everything that you see. Because you are happy. If you are angry, your anger conditions your relationship. So, in routine basis, our emotions and thoughts condition our inner state and how we see the world. This is conditioned state. Are you with me? But whatever you feel, you can't feel without the self in you. Your sadness you cannot experience without the self in you. Your happiness you cannot experience without the self in you. Your anger you cannot experience without the self in you. But anger, happiness, sadness conditions how you see yourself and the world. Ab samajh gaya? But the self is not conditioned. Self is pure. Self is not angry, sad, or happy. That's what you are. So similarly, we have a whole cocktail of thoughts which make our personality. And through these thoughts, we are seeing this world. So the self in us, conditioned by our waking bank of thoughts, makes us acknowledge this waking world. Just like the self in us, conditioned by your dream bank of thoughts, will make that dreamer see his dreaming world. That is a parallel. But behind both is the pure consciousness in you, which is not conditioned by anything. That's the meaning of conditioning. That's the meaning of conditioning. You keep hearing that I should not be attached, I should not be attached. You think how much time you got it from lecture 1 to lecture 306. Every day you're hearing, don't get attached. You got detached by now. More attached. So you're conditioned by, your thinking is conditioned by attachment. So even though you listen to the downside of attachment, possessiveness, and you agree, yes, ille papa, as soon as you see something attached. Because your thoughts and emotions, conditioned by attachment, my child, my daughter. Condition. You can, Krishna can come and talk from here to doomsday. It's my daughter. Condition. When she something you say, I am very happy, my daughter is. What is your daughter? You got nothing to do with you. What are you happy about? No different, your daughter and so your sister's daughter or the man in the street's daughter. If she's got talent, then you admire. If he doesn't have talent, let it be. You're not independent, got talent. What you come to with it? My daughter, so I'm very happy. Condition. Understand that. Don't keep nodding your head. We are hostage to our conditioning. You have to decondition your thinking and recondition it with how to look at things from Sakshi Bhav. Then you make traction in your life. A Sakshi, a witness, is not sees things as they are, not how you want it to be. Because it's deconditioned. Your unconditioned real state is the Supreme Self. Pure consciousness in you is Supreme Self. Not the king, not the beggar, not nothing. King Janaka reverentially received that message and found his real self. So must you recognize your mission as a human being is to release yourself from the prison house of the waking, dream and deep sleep states, means the prison house of your mind's conditioning in each of these states. You're imprisoned by that conditioning. You cannot stray it off. Goraji, when a person is dying, he says, I lost interest in everything. What is it called? You call something.
Shamshan Vairagya.
What is it called?
Smashan Vairagya.
What is the first one?
Shamshan.
No, I understand. That's no. Shamshan. No, am I pronouncing correctly?
Yeah.
Shamshan. Shamshan Vairagya. Vairagya means detachment. You follow? Correct. Shamshan Vairagya, detachment. No, that's what I'm saying. So at that point of time, we say that I am released from all. I don't have any desire left. I have done everything, I've seen everything, I've experienced everything. I don't want anything. I have no desire left. So therefore, now I go zero zeals. Your mind has, out of frustration and despondency, at this point of time, cannot animate these desires anymore. But all these desires are intact in your Vasana bank, which you cannot access now. Vasana is outside of your mind. So when you die, you do not liberate yourself. You go back into the long sleep of ignorance. Just like when you go to sleep, your Shanti is a Shanti born of ignorance. From that Shanti, what comes out of the Shanti? What comes out of the Shanti, I'm asking. When you go to sleep, you are in Shanti. There's no agitation there. What comes out of the Shanti? Huh? No, what comes out of the Shanti is Ashanti. Correct. You wake up into the whatever issues you have. You can't sleep away your issues. No, you go to sleep, you will be in Shanti, you wake up, you are Shanti, you wake up to the issues that you have. What is that Vairagya? Which Vairagya? Smashan Vairagya is nothing, is bluffing you. Mind is bluffing you. Sab ho gaya, sab kar liya. I don't want anything. Just take me away. Zero zeal, sorry. Nobody is going to take you away anywhere. From ignorance you are born, into ignorance you will go. It's the false bliss of what is called long sleep of death. From that you have to wake up with the same hang-ups with which you died. It's false Vairagya. So you have to put in effort. But in order to put in that effort, in order to put in that effort, you require this insight. Without that insight, all you have to do is become more objective, become more helpful, and understand everything will pass. So if you understand everything will pass, then happiness comes, maza karo, but it will go. Sorrow comes, maza a little bit here, shed a tear, it will go. And like that you keep living. But it's a fake life. It's a fake life. Unless you know that the true abode of happiness, peace is the self in me. And my mind just now is bluffing me into believing that I have finished with all my desires. Nothing has been finished. All are intact. So we must build up that powerful sense of objectivity. That I have to go through what I have to go through with the idea that I have to expel my desires at the vasana level. So that due course of, to expel desire at vasana level, I have to assert the self. You don't know what is the self in you, what are you going to assert? I have to assert the self in me and negate all this silliness that I have. Assert that. Which means everything that I do should be benchmarked to how truth and wisdom wants me to see things and look at things. That's how you assert the self. Vedanta speaks to you. So at any given time, you can look at things in so many ways. You can look at your daughter in so many ways. How will truth and wisdom have me see this young lady whose voice says my daughter? Then you change your perspective of that equation which you call your daughter. Otherwise, you maintain your own equation. Otherwise, you won't know what is meaning of asserting the self. The students in the academy, how they function. Somebody in the class can, somebody online can answer. Students in the academy, how do they function in the context? Students in the academy, how do they function in the context? You know what? See, for 3 years, they're following or some of them are 6 years, 7 years in the academy, they're following the schedule, no? So at any given time, consciously or subconsciously, they think that will Swamiji approve of what I'm doing? Will Swamiji approve with respect to how I'm conducting myself? Will he approve with what I'm thinking? So if the student benchmarks all aspects of his life, internal and external, with respect to his motives, with respect to how he deals with friends, with respect to everything, how will Swamiji have me look at this? That is the assertion. But he doesn't look at it the same way, but he wants to close the gap between how he's looking at it and how Swamiji will have him look at it. That is the assertion. They use Swamiji as the surrogate benchmark of the self. That's how you assert. Otherwise, you can't assert. So, as you grow into the higher values of life, you benchmark yourself against these values. So then you're getting closer to the self. The step-by-step thing, you cannot assert something abstract. So, when you have reverence and respect for your teacher, sportsman has reverence, respect for his coach, where everything he says and does, he asks, will my coach approve or not? It is not only playing the game. Will he approve of how I'm eating, what am I eating, how much I'm eating, when I'm eating, how am I treating my mother? Will he approve? If he approves, then fine. Doesn't approve, you understand? Because that coach has a 360-degree interest in you. Well, that is the meaning of assertion. So these classes, they put a spotlight on all aspects of life. But the bottom line of all is that spirit of detachment, renunciation. in and through all this, I have to get back there. If you can maintain that focus, it's a big thing. That's spiritual awakening. That has to be done. Wanting to escape, hoping that if I pray enough to him, he will call me whenever he calls me. In India, everybody will be self-realized. When is this thing happening? लाल बाग का राजा कभी होने वाला? Ganpati. Huh? So every September, how many people are standing in line? Lakhs are standing in line. Yeah, 36 hours to reach there. You have to stand in line 36 hours. That much devotion they have, they should all be self-realized person. No, because they have absolute surrender, there is no. Absolute surrender. Everybody must be self-realized. Nothing is happening. They have to come from the whether Mr. Amitabh Bachchan is also going there, and the fellow in the slum is also going there, and everybody is very, nobody getting any privilege at all. Not that simple. But devotion is genuine, it's not hypocritical. Just wake up to this fact. You have to wake up to this fact. As long as your mind maintains, refuses to give up, you will be hostage to the dictates of that mind. This is the equation. The self, for all its omnipotence, will not release you from your hostage of your mind. You, with your self-effort, must release yourself by yourself. That is the equation. It's not understood. Okay. Now, Janka just didn't hear this and then, thank you very much. Between hearing this, he had to put in a lot of effort to look and relook at this phenomenon of dream and deep sleep. And then ponder on it. So having pondered on it, then it takes traction. So with our friend Aditya's expertise and whatever we have learned in common with Swamiji, we have made a slide and a PowerPoint, step by step, how to examine this phenomenon. You have to examine it as a wake-up, keep everything aside and just examine it logically. This is what we are doing now, and we will carry it forward. We will carry it forward week after next, because next week, Srimandaji's Yagna will start next door. So all of us who are in Mumbai should make that attempt to reach there. And Monday after next is when we will restart this. But this class is not ended. This class is carrying on just now. So the preliminary of this we will do now, and the thinking about it we will do next time. 4 states of consciousness. Those who don't have, you can share. Sir, if you sit next to him, you can share it. Not one, no. First one. We had 4 states of consciousness. PowerPoint it is. The very first one. Yeah, that's it. So the 4 states of consciousness. So some things we must know by now. So the 4th state is the highest state. It is called Turiya, the 4th. That is your real self. The state which is outside of any conditioning. So your real self is the state of pure consciousness, which is beyond the mind. That is your real self on the right. It is given there. But at this point of time, you are not with pure consciousness alone. There is a mind that is blocking it. So as soon as the mind blocks it, you become of the self in second-hand manner as the conditioning principle behind, as the awareing principle behind whatever you are aware of. So the self in you functions through your mind according to the condition of the mind. So the next three states are conditioned states. The self functioning through the waker's mind. The waker's mind is your fully conscious mind. The mind that is functioning through your gross body now. That's your fully conscious mind. When you go to sleep, that gross body is asleep and the mind is disconnected from it. When the mind disconnects from it, it functions at its subconscious level, disconnected from this gross body. So therefore, it's your subconscious mind. So when you dream, the mind slips into subconsciousness. So that is your lower state, second state. So the self in you functioning through the dreamer's mind, through your subtle body, experiences the dream. The self in you functioning through the subtle body generates the experiences of your dream. The self in you functioning through your gross body generates the experiences of waker mind. And the self in you functioning through your causal body, your vasanas, generates the awareness or consciousness of nothingness. These are your four conditioned states. Conditioned by the waker's mind, dreamer's mind, or no mind. It's there on the chart. It's very easy to understand. And the technical words are there also important. Gross body, subtle body, causal body. When you die, the gross body evaporates into the elements and your causal and subtle body subside into your vasanas till such time as they take birth again. And fresh gross body along with all the natak that is required comes into being along with all the desires that you have. Next. Now he's explaining in the waking state of consciousness what happens. Yes, the waking state of consciousness. Sorry. You can see on the screen, the self filters, as it were, through the waker's mind. And you can see that the fellow has just woken up. The diagram is there. He's just woken up. So you say, I am the waker. Look at the diagram. It says, I am the waker. You can see. See it, no? See it on the monitor. See it there. I am the waker. Then you also know that I am the athlete. I am an athlete. Waker is acknowledging. You got to function in many ways. So having woken up, you say, I am an athlete. There, the picture is there. You also say that I am a businessman, because that's what you are just now, successful. Picture is there. Look at the picture. You also say, I am a family man. Picture is there, right? Because self-evident to you, I am a family man, happy. Okay? This is your emphatic assertion of who you are. I'm an athlete, I'm successful businessman, I'm a family man. Is there. Okay? This is the waker. There. I'm awake. Now I know, as soon as I'm awake, I'm an athlete, I'm successful, and I'm a family man. This is what you are asserting now. Now you go to sleep. So the dream state of consciousness comes into play. So this is the waker who is sleeping. There the picture is there. The waker is sleeping. And the dream, the fully conscious mind loses its identity as the waker. That's when you go to sleep. So the picture is there. The fully conscious mind loses its identity as the waker. When that happens, the subconscious mind assumes an identity as a dreamer. That is a cause and effect principle. Now, the real self in you filters down into your subconscious mind, dreamer's mind. In one dream, you say, I am an invalid, because that's what you dreamt. The picture is there. So you say, I am invalid. That is a statement of one particular dream that you have. You say, I am invalid. Invalid. Not invalid, I'm sorry, invalid. My fault. But invalid is invalid. Anyway, so in another dream, you say, I am poor. You can see that picture there. In another dream, you say, I am poor. And in another dream, you say, I am a party animal having a ball. That picture is there. I'm party animal having a ball. Subconscious mind assumes an identity as a dreamer, but in this particular identity, you are having a ball. So in different points in time, in different dreams, in one dream you said, I'm invalid. Another dream you say, I'm poor. Another dream you say, I'm party animal. Pictures are there. Then you get exhausted. Mind gets exhausted. So when the mind gets exhausted, it goes into deep sleep. So that your real self filtering through the deep sleeper's unconsciousness experiences nothing. Shanti, bliss, no sorrow. This is the experience of the deep sleeper. Next one. Put the next slide, please. So now you've woken up. Now the picture is there, waking state of consciousness. So the fellow has woken up. Having woken up, he's pondering like Janaka. He's thinking. What is he thinking? He's thinking about his dream after waking up. He's thinking about his dream after waking up. And he says, my experience, so he remembers that he was a cripple. So he says, my experience as a cripple was solid and real, self-evident. In my dream, I was a cripple, not an athlete. As a cripple, I could never know that I am an athlete, which you know after waking up. The cripple couldn't take refuge in the fact that he's actually an athlete, he's got nothing to worry about. But after waking up, you discount the cripple, nothing, I have nothing to worry about. But when you are asleep, you said, I am crippled. So he's thinking, you must see the picture, he's pondering, kya ho raha hai? There is something wrong in the kingdom of Denmark. This is what Janaka was thinking. Next. Thinking about his dream after waking up. Now as a waker, I know I am an athlete and my experience as a cripple was only an imaginary projection of my mind. Is a conclusion you come to after waking up. But you must remember then it was real. Now it is imaginary. Next. Now he remembers that he is a party animal. Thinking about his dream after waking up. My experience as being carefree was solid, real, self-evident. In my dream, I was unattached and carefree. I could never know that I have a commitment as a father. See, as a father, you wish sometimes that you were free. Samsar boat ho gaya. The bachelor days were better, but you are locked up. But in the dream, you are free. Now as a waker, I know I have responsibility. My experiences as being carefree was only an imaginary projection of my mind. The ground reality is that I'm hooked and I've got responsibilities. Next. Now as a waker, I know I have responsibility. My experiences as being carefree are only imaginary projection of my mind. Next. Poor. Thinking about his dream after waking up. My experience as being poor was also solid, real, and self-evident. In my dream, I was poor. I could never know that I am a successful businessman. Now, as a waker, I know I have a successful business. My experience as being poor was only an imaginary projection of my mind. Now you know, after waking up. Last, thinking about his dreamless experience of deep sleep after waking up. In my deep sleep, I only experienced bliss, shanti, nothingness, no issues and no problems there. Now, as the waker, I know all my issues and problems were in a state of non-manifestation. It was a state of ignorance of my personality, a state of coma experienced as deep sleep. Same extended coma is death, is not realization. Now that he went through all this, he is pondering on the whole thing, reflections and contemplation by the waker about his dream. So that reflection and contemplation by the waker about his dream is one page. Step by step, we will take it Monday after next. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Adi.